when I was looking through the Rolling Stone, I found a bunch of interesting interviews with Jimmy from various points. But there's this one by
Was there?
Judith Sims
Right.
in the Rolling Stone, July 17th, 1975. But there's this one section here in which he says, apparently unprompted, "Yeah, I guess I drink a lot." So
Jimmy,
Jimmy's
man,
not
I
right.
got news for you because I have been counting the references.
Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. In Margaritaville. It's my own damn fault.
You know, I thought I would get tired of it by the time we got to Margaritaville, but that hasn't happened yet. So I'm very, very
I think
thankful
we'll be
for
tired
that.
of it by June. I think I'll be tired of
Oh,
it
yeah, by June. I mean, we're gonna be stealing like what, the 1990s with Jimmy? God, oh Christ.
I don't want to think about how slow.
Anyway,
this is
welcome
go. Hi,
everybody back to this choreography.
Choreography. Wasting Away 2026. I'm Tom.
I'm Kyle, and today we have another guest, our second guest on the podcast. It's our good buddy Matt. Matt, say hi.
Hello.
Now, Matt, you have a special connection to Jimmy Buffett in that you work
Yes.
where?
At a Margaritaville.
Okay, excellent. So, we brought you on today because we're not actually talking about a studio album by Jimmy. Last week, we did Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude, which I'm sure is the album you've heard the most of played at Margaritaville because it's insufferable. Well, actually, it's not entirely insufferable, but most of it is very bad.
Most of it's pretty rough.
What
But that's the album that has both Changes in Latitudes and Margaritaville on it, itself on it. So,
And some weird ones, like a re-recording of a song about a woman committing suicide.
That rings a bell.
yeah,
In the shelter. Great one. High Cumberland Jubilee.
It's honestly pretty good. It's just a weird one from Jimmy.
Yeah. So today we're doing our first compilation album, and parrot heads listening might say, "What the hell are you talking about? Songs You Know by Heart doesn't come out for another 8 years." And to that I say, fuck off and come back in 8 weeks. Then
Get your ass over to Australia,
Yes.
motherfucker.
yeah.
We're
So
talking about the very best of Jimmy Buffett.
the very best of Jimmy Buffett. Technically, it's actually called The Golden Era of Pop, subtitle The Very Best of Jimmy Buffett. So ABC's international label in 1977, I have no idea why it's specifically Australia and New Zealand that gets these albums, but they put out a whole run of them in 1977. The Four Tops, Isaac Hayes, Rufus featuring Shaka Khan, Three Dog Night, Joe Walsh and the James Gang, and our good buddy Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy was really just a one-hit guy in Australia. Come Monday, peaked at number 19. Pencil Thin Mustache got to number 98. But Margaritaville, just earlier in the same year, got to number 98. So good job, Australia. You have better taste in music than the US.
I guess so. This is a really strange compilation album. It's got like a very odd collection of songs, not the least of which because, we just covered his 7th studio album. It's kind of clear through a number of sources that Jimmy sort of considers it his 5th studio album. Regardless, this compilation only contains material from 3 of his albums.
Yeah, and none of them are Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude, which does come out earlier in the year than this because that comes out in January. I don't have a date on this, but I presume it's after January in all likelihood.
So it's not shocking that this album has no material from Down to Earth and High Cumberland Jubilee. Well, I guess it kind of has material from Down to Earth because it has a recording of Captain and the Kid on it, but it's the recording of Captain and Kid from Havana Daydreaming. But it also has no material from Changes in Latitudes, which is kind of bizarre because that album's huge.
And the really weird
bizarrely, it has no material at all from White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean.
Yeah.
So arguably Jimmy's 2 most popular and 2 most obscure albums are off of this thing, leaving the 3 middle of the road ones.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing I went looking to see if there was some sort of like rights issue with the distribution. I figure Changes is because it's so recent, right? But for White Sport Coat, specifically because it was on ABC Dunhill, which is the same label that the 3 albums that are represented on the compilation are from. And I couldn't find any information about this. This album is so obscure, and the idea of any sort of distribution rights in Australia is so obscure. It was distributed by the same international label Probe as was distributed in Australia and New Zealand. The 3 songs that are on, or the 3 albums that are on, represented here as well. And in terms of New Zealand, Jimmy doesn't even chart until Margaritaville, so he had 0 chart presence until earlier in the same year in New Zealand.
Very strange.
Yeah, so the big thing to mention, though, is that Jimmy is literally only a radio presence in Australia and New Zealand. He hasn't toured there at all. The first gig I found that Jimmy was in Australia for is from January 1984 in Fremantle, Western Australia. And then the first tour he does is in 1987. So that's 10 years later that he tours the area.
It seems like he's just a really weird like person to include on this like bizarre like compilation series.
Yeah.
It seems out of left field. You know, something that is interesting. So I've been doing a little bit more listeners reading about Jimmy's sort of presence in like more critical publications, sort of music publications, things like Stereo Review and Rolling Stone and the like. And something that I think kind of points to why this is releasing now is that, you know, I was expecting to find very little from Down to Earth and High Cumberland Jubilee because they were so obscure. But something that surprised me, there is very little like written material about Jimmy up until Changes in Latitudes comes out. Even as he starts to become more popular, in like any of those years in between White Sport Coat and Changes coming out, he has like maybe 1 or 2 articles written about him or reviewing his albums, which is, you know, not nothing. It's more than like the average person does. But in 77, after Changes comes out, he has like 5. So like 3 Rolling Stone articles, like 2 Stereo Review albums, 2 Stereo Review articles. Like he starts to become a much more important figure, sort of in music after that becomes like big. And that kind of makes me think that maybe this is what was happening was, you know, it gets huge and they're like, we got to sell more people on Jimmy. And maybe that's why it doesn't have anything from Changes in Latitudes on it. Maybe they made this because they were like, oh, Changes is doing well in Australia.
That's okay. So that's an interesting idea. So they're, I don't know where the album went to in Australia. I only looked up the singles. Let me just take a look real quick. But that makes a lot of sense. What you're saying is that the idea that like they want to break into the Australia New Zealand market, and so they're putting this one out to say, hey, if you like this stuff, go buy the new album. That makes sense.
It might also be like why like maybe they didn't put White Sport Coat on this. Maybe they just reissued White Sport Coat. Right? Like they printed it specifically for the Australian market.
Possibly.
But that's kind of my guess is like why like the 2 bigger albums are not on here and then nothing from the 2 smaller obscure albums.
Yes. Australia, Changes did not chart in Australia.
Well, maybe Everything I Believe is full of shit.
So Living and Dying peaked at 46 and A1A peaked at 43 on the Australian charts. And then Son of a Sailor, after a drought of 2 albums, reappears 52. So maybe that's boosted by this album. Who knows?
Maybe. It's hard to say. Before we get any deeper into the podcast, though, because we're probably... Do you have it more context, or are we going to start getting into the album next?
There's really no more context. It's such an obscure little compilation.
But we should ask, hey, Matt, so we do this thing on this podcast where I'm going to ask you what you've been listening to. And here's the thing.
Okay.
This is a beautiful little corner of the podcast where you get to talk about music you're listening to that wasn't written by Jimmy Buffett.
Or recorded by Jimmy Buffett.
So what have you been listening to lately?
Lately I've been listening to a lot of Linkin Park and Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, very fun.
Linkin Park. I didn't expect Matt to be a Linkin Park listener.
Well, mainly it's just Cyber Theory. And was a Secret Treaties by Blue Oyster Cult has become one of my favorite albums as of late.
I don't know that. I haven't listened to a lot of Blue Oyster Cult, so maybe I'll have to go check that out at some point.
I mean, really, Don't Fear the Reaper is the only one I know.
Kyle, what have you been listening to?
I have been listening to, actually, I've been listening to a lot of Steve Goodman recently.
Not shocked.
So I came into possession of his 1977 album Say It in Private, which is very difficult to find. And this is an album that closes with one of my favorite songs, is a song that I recommended to you, I think after last week's podcast we were talking about it. And the reason I had mentioned it is because I only just come into possession of the album. But a song that Steve Goodman wrote with John Prine in 1977 called The 20th Century Is Almost Over, which features Pete Seeger on banjo. And it's an absolute kick-ass song. And the more I've been listening to that song...
You did recommend this to me, and I have not listened to it yet.
Oh, you got it. And the more I've been listening to that song, the more I've been looking at the news, I really do think that somebody needs to write an update to that song called This Century Might As Well Be Over. And like maybe all the other ones after that too.
Yeah.
But so I mean, Steve Goodman, I've mentioned before, I'm a big fan of Steve Goodman. I grew up listening to Steve Goodman because my dad was a big fan. I gotta say, I am, if we're playing 6 degrees of Jimmy Buffett, I am 4 degrees, maybe 5 degrees. I don't remember how you count the degrees. Jimmy Buffett is a 0 degree, right? And the first degree from Jimmy Buffett is the person who met Jimmy Buffett, right? So
yeah, I think that's how that works.
If we work back, so Steve Goodman wrote a lot of songs with Jimmy Buffett. They were good friends. Steve Goodman recorded a song called The Dutchman, which was it's a very emotional song, an amazing song. I highly recommend it, off of the great album Somebody Else's Troubles, which I've mentioned on this podcast before, which is written by a guy named Michael Peter Smith. It's the 2nd degree. So Michael Peter Smith was in a band called Juarez, and they toured in the area around San Francisco around 1970, 1971. It was a very short-lived country rock band. My dad was an audio engineer for them very briefly at that time period. And of course, I've met my father. So that's 4 degrees of Jimmy Buffett. I'm away from him.
Well, Matt works at a Margaritaville, so I think he's got you.
Well, I was just thinking.
I don't know how to measure that, but
I was just trying to think. Maybe we need to be asking people who come onto the podcast as guests, say, "Hey, what's
proximity to Jimmy?"
Yeah, let's play 6 degrees of Jimmy Buffett. How close are you? See if anyone's closer than 4. Somebody's got to be. I'm not that close to Jimmy.
I have not worked it out.
Surely somebody's been to a Jimmy Buffett show. Actually, not with the kind of guests that we're bringing on.
No, I do know a couple of people who are in the music industry. I'm minorly acquainted with the bassist from Death Cab for Cuties. So
maybe they did a sing along with Jimmy.
I kind of doubt that they did a show with Jimmy at any point, but music industry people, once you get into the music industry, I feel like you're getting close, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Jimmy does seem kind of isolated, though. He's got his own little bubble,
a little bit,
right?
He's got his own little bubble in the Caribbean.
Seems like almost every songwriter or musician has been close to Jimmy Buffett's.
There's a lot of songwriters and musicians who are bizarrely, weirdly close to Jimmy.
There's some surprising ones.
And I'm pretty sure even Bon Jovi was at his tribute concerts. Yeah, which that one surprised me because.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Are we gonna have to cover the tribute concert for the podcast?
I guess we could. I guess we have something else planned right now for our final episode, but we could do that on the final episode. I've been listening to The World Is Grim. I needed something a little bit lighter. I've been listening to De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising a lot this week.
Oh, that's a good album.
Oh, it's so good. I love 3 Feet High.
I know is one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, that thing is. I was very lucky to receive a vinyl copy of it for Christmas last year, and so I've been, whenever I kind of get a moment where I get to throw a record on, I'm throwing on 3 Feet High and Rising.
You gotta love every time a hip hop group samples Steely Dan.
It's pretty great. But anyway, with that out of the way, I think it's time to discuss this album. Doing a compilation album is kind of interesting for this. Our discussion is probably going to be a lot shorter. It's probably just going to be a lot about the collection of songs here, which is a little bit weird. And also asking Matt how often he hears this song in a Margaritaville.
Well, okay. I mean, we can get that out of the way right now. We'll go down the list. There's 16 songs here. Matt, I want you to give me on a scale from 1 to 10 how often this song is played in a Margaritaville. And we're going to start with what I think is probably going to be the 10 on the list, which is Pencil Thin Mustache. Scale of 1 to 10. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Come Monday.
Come Monday. I'm not sure about this one, actually.
It's a slower song. I figure you might not always hear it in a kitschy restaurant.
It's also like, I can imagine Come Monday, because it has like that, like, you know, much slower instrumentation. I could imagine it definitely like fading into the background. It doesn't have anything that like sticks out if you're like working a shift,
well,
right? Whereas Pencil Thin Mustache is like,
right.
It feels like it'll always stick out like shrapnel. Like,
I'll start it.
And we'll real quickly.
Okay.
Oh wait. Are you going to play it?
No, I'm not going to play it. We don't have the rights.
Oh, right.
We only have the rights for
say
30-second snippets where I like make Jimmy say some weird shit and have to speed it up so it gets past the censors. So, we'll skip that. We'll come back to it. We'll go down the list and it'll help you get more perspective for like maybe how much you know. So number 3 is The Wino and I Know.
That's a solid 8 or 9.
Really? Wow.
I'll spread more like an 8.
An 8 on the Matt scale. Okay.
Call it the Matt scale?
We're calling it the Matt scale, yeah. The Margaritaville scale.
Yeah, remember me, this is a scale of how often it comes on at Margaritaville.
In the Margaritaville, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
10 being the most often.
10 being at this point Pencil Thin Mustache.
Right.
I mean, you tell me, what is the song you hear most often in there? Is it Margaritaville?
Surprisingly, no.
Is it Pencil Thin Mustache?
It might be. It's definitely up there.
So what else would be up there?
I gotta be honest. When I imagined like when I imagine how
Latitude,
Change in Latitudes, yeah.
Okay.
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Oh yeah,
Coffee
definitely.
Volcano.
Yeah. What's the one about fruitcakes?
Fruitcakes?
Is this called fruitcakes?
Yeah, fruitcakes. Wow. Did they play the whole like 7.5 minute version?
I don't think so.
Oh well, mercy on your soul.
Maybe.
Either way, this sounds hellish. Just like a world in which Pencil Thin Mustache is like extremely ubiquitous, terrifying.
That's basically the world we're living in. That's basically we're about to get into the point where we're going to be having like compilation albums with the Big 8 plus live albums with the Big 8 like every third week. That's about to be our hell.
We're gonna have to listen to Pencil Thin Mustache so much.
I will say there is one more song in this album that is probably a 9 or 10 scale.
Okay, well we'll continue going down the list. So West Nashville Grand Ballroom Gown.
I don't think I've ever heard that one that work.
I was gonna say, would you call that a 0 then?
I guess you'd have to. Yeah.
Most of these songs are going to be pretty low.
Okay.
That was the one I figured was probably going to be a 0, only because it's a waltz.
It's a weird one.
Wait.
Huh?
The Nashville?
West Nashville Grand Ballroom Gown. It's in 3/4 time. But crucially, it's not Nautical Wheelers, which is also waltz, but it actually uses the phrase living and dying in 3/4 time. But that's not from the Living and Dying in 3/4 time album. West Nashville Grand Ballroom Gown is, I can understand your confusion. I've broken Matt's brain.
That was kind of an assault, to be honest. Like it was just an onslaught of information.
I'm sorry.
Do you hear saxophones regularly?
Do I hear
saxophones? How do you hear saxophone?
Yeah, the song "Saxophones" by Jimmy Buffett.
I listened to that one yesterday. Well, along with every other song on this album, and I don't think it's ever played. It's another 0. But
oh wow, okay.
It's one that I actually kind of wish would play more often.
Oh, here we go.
I have to imagine that one of the things that makes it like something that would be more desirable to be played in the Margaritaville is if it's just like not exactly Jimmy's regular style.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
so Matt, as you've perhaps noted on saxophones, there's really no saxophones in that song.
Do you think that you would prefer saxophones if it had saxophones on it?
See, that would just make sense.
This is interesting because our opinion is that song is much better without saxophones on it.
I will say that
really
our perspective is a little different because there's a single version that came out in 1974 with some saxophones that I thought took away from the message of the song, and then there's a version that comes out on the 2003 compilation Meet Me in Margaritaville that has a lot of saxophones, and that is terrible. With assuming Assuming par for the course for Jimmy in 2003. But
yeah, I think our perspective is definitely warped. I think that, not to be mean to parrot heads, but I feel like parrot heads have invalid opinions about Jimmy Buffett because they're obsessed with him. I feel like
we are going to get into that when we discuss what the parrot heads think about some of these albums.
We are going to have invalid opinions about Jimmy Buffett by the end of this podcast because we are going to be justifiably insane. We're just going to have too much information about the man. So our opinions about Jimmy Buffett are going to be completely irreconcilable with normal people's.
We clearly do with how I just assaulted Matt with that information about waltzes. All right. So making music for money.
Yeah, you see, a lot of these songs I really have rarely heard.
All in all, like, there's some good choices for compilation album here, and there's some quite weird choices, and then there's also poor choices. A lot of these, or quite a few of these, especially from A1A, this is the first of the A1A songs that's represented on the compilation, are covers of other people's songs that he did that we particularly were negative on.
Songs, over a quarter of this album, Matt, is songs that were not written by Jimmy.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so really quick, just to run through it for the listeners, this album includes Making Music for Money, Dallas, Stories We Could Tell, Defying Gravity, and This Hotel Room, all of which were not written by Jimmy.
Yeah, and then Woman Going Crazy was co-written with Steve Goodman.
I have it playing on a separate tab right now, just see if that jogs my memory.
Right, okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, and it sounds like something that probably would have been played at my work, but I definitely haven't listened to it enough to recognize it. So, but that might be
feel like
one or two.
The piano part in Making Music for Money, kind of like its general cadence, like, is somewhat evocative of Fins. Like, I could see, like, if you have to listen to Fins a lot, like, this could trigger bells.
Matt, the next song is Dallas. How often do you hear Dallas?
That's another one I was not very familiar with.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm very interested in this next one. Matt, how often do you hear Tin Cup Chalice?
Tin Cup Chalice. Let me play that on my end. Just
yeah, sure. Take your time. I think it's an interesting one because it's like considered like a real deep cut where it's like, this is one of my personal favorites, but like it just kind of seems like Jimmy didn't think that much of it.
Which is weird because I think people who understand good music and parrot heads alike think this is a good song.
I would agree. I would agree with it. It's real good.
You like the way I phrased that?
There are some very strange omissions from this, considering the albums that this covers. It's really weird that Pirate Looks at 40 isn't on this, right?
Yeah. No, I mentioned that down in my notes where I have a whole section where I was like, well, what would I change about the album selection or the song selection?
First of all, just replace Pendleton Mustache with something else.
Anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Tin Cup Chalice is a pretty good one. I'll have to admit.
I'm a big fan of that one. But also, if you think you don't hear it very often, I would not be.
I don't think
supremely shocked. Yeah.
No.
But have you ever heard it at all at the Margaritaville?
There's this one. Ooh, have I heard this one? I'll be honest. Like at this point, like a lot of the songs just blend together.
Yeah, I could see that.
Is harrowing look into our own future.
Yeah, I know, right? But also, like, I think it's an interesting point that, like, especially if you're sort of assaulting yourself with Jimmy and you're not getting used to assaulting yourself with Jimmy, like we are, this could be kind of like a thing where it's like you have trouble picking things out. One thing that stands out to me is that both the Wino and I Know and Tin Cup Chalice mention like pylons, and like those, like it stands out in my brain. Like sometimes when like one of those songs is in my head, the other one will just sort of shift in on the line pylon.
So does He Went to Paris.
Yes.
All right, so Tin Cup Chalice.
On here.
Well, that's White Sport Coat, and the entire album's not represented. So Tin Cup Chalice, you're not sure if you haven't heard it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I haven't heard it.
Okay, well, I'm going to put that as like a 1 for now then.
Yeah.
Well, we move on to... Is it time to flip the record? No, it's not time to flip.
I don't think we do a record flip for this episode, to be honest.
Stories We Could Tell.
Stories We Could Tell. That one, I definitely think it hasn't played on my Margaritaville.
Has not. Okay.
No, let's put that one on a 0.
All right, here's one I want to know. Life is Just a Tire Swing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't recognize it from work, but when I did listen to it, I think that that song kind of stood out to me.
Okay.
Are you big on Life Is Just a Tire Swing?
It's just a tire swing.
I figure it's the type of Jimmy Buffett song that would be played at a Margaritaville.
You might think so because it has the Jimmy wisdom in it, right?
It has the Jimmy wisdom in it, but it's like, because they're not always just going to play, like, as hellish as it might seem, they're not really always just going to be playing just the Big Eight all the way through on a loop.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to throw some deep cuts in, and this would be a deep cut they would throw in.
Employees would mutiny. Like if it was
mutiny, nautical term.
Margaritaville every hour on the hour. Like,
oh, okay, wait.
Every hour on the hour if they're playing it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Okay, this one
Life Is Just
I'm gonna put it as a 5.
You're gonna put it as a 5, okay. So you've heard it there.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
It sounds very familiar.
All right. Woman Going Crazy on Caroline Street.
Don't believe so.
Okay. There's some deep cuts. This is not going to surprise me for any of the Havana Daydreamin' songs because it seems like the forgotten album in Jimmy's oeuvre.
Which is, sucks because I love
Havana Daydreamin'. It's very poor. So My Head Hurts, My Feet Stink, and I Don't Love Jesus.
Oh, that one. That's not a familiar one.
I figured it wasn't. So you want to give that a 0?
I don't give that one a 0.
Okay. All right. Here's the one I expect is probably well played. The Captain and the Kid.
The Captain and the Kid. All right. Let me give that one. Let me re-listen to this one.
Yeah.
This might be surprising, but I think this one's also a 0.
Really? Wow. Okay. All right.
Does that mean the one that you hear, like the other one that you also hear really often? I feel like it must be Havana Daydreamin'.
Is it Defying Gravity? How often do you hear Defying Gravity?
Yeah.
How often do I hear Defying Gravity?
Yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah, Defying Gravity. Don't believe that's one I hear often either.
But you do hear it.
Or at all?
Hmm.
Oh, it does sound slightly familiar.
Oh, okay.
Well, Defying Gravity is one of the covers on this album.
Yeah.
So
I think Jimmy does a couple versions of it. Like, I think it shows up on a few of his live albums, so I presume maybe it would be.
Yeah, it's probably. This is definitely one of the lesser played songs, but I think it is played.
So what do you want to give it?
So, 3.
Give it a 3. Okay. So we'll move on to Havana Daydreamin'.
Okay, yeah, that's a title I recognize.
It's like the name of one of his albums.
Yeah. That's how I recognize, just like right off the bat without having to listen, and that's likely that's likely a 7.
7, okay, all right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. The album Havana Daydreamin' is like kind of underplayed, I think, generally, and I think it's one of his better albums.
Yeah.
But the song Havana Daydreamin' is like very easily like the most popular cut on the album, even if it's not as played as like some of his, like, you know, it's no Margaritaville, it's no Boat Drinks.
Well, I think arguably the most popular cut from that album would be the re-recording of Captain the Kid. But what we talked about on that album is that Havana Daydreamin' is sort of the like most recent common ancestor for all of the Jimmy Buffett songs that follow. Like, it has so much of what makes a Jimmy Buffett song, like all rolled into one song.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. So then the last track on this compilation album is This Hotel Room.
Okay, that is easily a 9.
What?
Yeah, I hear this song way too often.
Really?
We're always playing this hotel room in the Margaritaville.
I guess because it's kind of in a touristy area. So.
This is my most disliked Jimmy Buffett song.
Well, it's not written by Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, well, this is written by Steve Goodman. But
and when you said that earlier, I was surprised.
Oh my god!
Who's the original writer?
Steve Goodman.
Steve Goodman. I'll say is it Steve Goodman's.
You were mentioning Steve. You were talking about the guy we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Steve Goodman's a great. I think Steve Goodman does a version you'd like more.
Here's the thing about this hotel room. Here's the thing about this hotel room. I'm not shocked by this. If I had to listen to this hotel room super regularly, I think I would come to resent it. So with all of that perspective in mind, let's come back to Come Monday. How often do you think you hear that song?
We're going to come back to that one.
Yes. So to give you some perspective, Pencil Thin Mustache is a 10. This hotel room is a 9. The Wino and I Know is an 8. Havana Daydreamin' is a 7. Life Is Just a Tire Swing is a 5. And everything else is like 3 and below.
Yes. And we're going to include Come Monday in the 3 and below.
Oh, really? You think?
It's not really good like theme restaurant music, I guess.
I guess not. I mean, you would think that it would have a little more respect for Jimmy's first hit, though. You know,
a little. You'd think so, but like, gosh.
I mean, there's some really interesting ones here.
Okay,
this is fascinating information to me.
Now I feel like I'm going to go to work tomorrow and immediately here come Monday.
That might happen.
I mean, honestly, the fascinating thing for me is that the captain and the kid is a 0 and this hotel room is a 9. That's wild.
Like,
I mean, I was thrown with the idea that the Wino and I Know was an 8 if Pencil Thin Mustache was a 10, and I thought we were going to be getting into it, and then you come out with a Vanity Treatment is a 7, Captain the Kid is a 0, his hotel room is a 9.
This hotel room being a 9 is like the most like,
I don't know.
but like really like.
I mean,
I don't hate that song, but I feel like it's really because I don't have to listen to it super regularly.
Yeah.
Does it being a 9 mean that you hear it like almost every day?
Almost every day.
I think I would hate this hotel room if I had to listen to it every single day.
Yeah, if I had to listen to it every single day, yes.
Every single day for 3 years, mind you.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jeez.
Yeah. And being totally honest, like a lot of these songs might just like go in one ear and not the other while I'm working. So a lot of the times I might have given like lower score.
So that's how much of an impression it left.
Yeah, I mean these all the songs I've scored lower might actually play more often than I think.
It's just that like they don't leave enough of an impression for you to recognize them. This hotel room though, and Pencil Thin Mustache.
That's nuts.
The line in this hotel room that gives me an impression the impression is Magic Fingers. I hate every time I hear Jimmy Buffett say Magic Fingers.
So I gotta ask Cave, do you know what the context behind that line is? Do you know what magic fingers are? Or do you just think he's talking about magic fingers?
I think I know very well what he's talking about. Is a problem.
Oh, okay.
It's not a sex thing.
Yeah, it's not a sex thing, if that's what you think.
It's not a sex...
No.
That's what I think.
So magic... Okay, well, prepare to be enlightened here. So magic fingers were these coin-operated, essentially, beds that were in hotel rooms where you put a coin in and it vibrated like was a massage bed, essentially.
Oh.
And they were actually notoriously quite crap, that it was like a terrible motor.
Okay.
Yeah, they were usually found in like cheap hotel rooms.
That makes the line Magic Fingers less traumatizing.
Put in a quarter, turn out the light. Magic fingers make you feel all right. Makes it a little less traumatizing, huh?
Yeah. I can understand your pain though. Jeez Louise. So that's deeply interesting. We've established that this hotel room is your devil, your arch enemy. Matt, I want to know what was your highlight on this album? What do you think was the song that you enjoyed listening to the most?
Probably Saxophones.
Saxophones is a fun song. I do like that song.
Yeah, I didn't hate that song. You know, it's not the highlight on that album for me by any means.
Would you like to hear a version of Saxophones that is essentially 4 drunk idiots on guitars and one of them on a mandolin just screaming it while playing it?
What did you perform this one?
No. We did.
So the first live show that we cover in this is a recording he did for K-San that was recorded in Sausalito, California in
1974. Yeah.
74.
Yeah. And it's like Jimmy's touring entourage at the time was one guy on a guitar, Roger Bartlett, who was one of sort of the original choral reefer, as they like to say. And then also a couple of other people, one of whom was just shredding a mandolin the whole time, and the other one who's also on. So it's 3 people on acoustic guitars and then one guy on a mandolin. And
wait, like an Asian guy?
Sorry?
Like an Asian guy?
No.
Do you know what a mandolin is, Cave?
Oh, wait. A mandolin.
No. We're not saying mandarin. We're saying mandolin.
I didn't say mandarin. I heard what they said.
Okay. A mandolin is it's an Italian instrument.
It's like 8 strings, but each of the strings is paired with another one. So there's like 4-string kind of, but they're doubled up.
Does it resemble a ukulele?
A little bit.
I mean, I would
not-
say
not
what it usually looks like is like a tiny Gibson Les Paul.
Yeah, but it's
In
like
shape.
size-wise, it resembles a
But it's
ukulele.
accordion. It's very well used in
Wait.
bluegrass music.
Hold on,
This-
let me pull up an image of it.
When you said guy running it, wait, is the guy not?
Shredding. We
Or
were
was
just
it-
like he was going.
Yeah,
he was.
shredding.
Yeah, he was
Oh,
going crazy
oh,
on.
my
it.
bad. I'm kind of okay because there is a music video I see quite often at work. I haven't seen it too lately. That does show a guy absolutely crazy on what I thought was a ukulele.
But now, do
Okay.
you think it's a mandolin?
Might be a mandolin.
Yeah.
In that case, saxophones might be a lot higher on the list.
So that whole recording, that whole live recording they did for the radio in Sausalito, every single one of them is fucking completely blasted. Like they're just
It's
drunk.
honestly, it's a fucking good listen.
It's really fun. It is really fun. They do play Pencil Thin Mustache.
Yeah.
It's sort of neither here nor there, but this is a really
Yeah, it's
strange compilation of tunes.
it's super interesting to listen to.
Yeah, it's like, I think that okay, composition wise, starting with Pencil Thin Mustache is always going to put a bad taste in my mouth. Whatever. Ending the first side with Tin Cup Chalice, I think that's a good closer. It doesn't have to compete with the fact that Pirate Looks at 40 isn't the closer on this one, which I think is good.
Yeah,
But it's also not the actual closer, because the actual closer is they just end it with his hotel room again.
yeah, and
which is like-
I can see why they do that because they want to go in like chronological order, roughly from the
Yeah,
albums.
for like the album. So it starts on the Living and Dying. No, it starts A1A.
A1A.
No, yeah.
Yeah, or yes, sorry, Living and Dying, yes.
And then it does A1A, but also it doesn't do A1A in order because it does Tin Cup Chalice and then goes into Stories We Could Tell in Life. It's just a tire swing,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of like it's a strange setup for this.
Yeah, and
It's-
I mean the other thing I have to say is like the way that these like greatest hits compilations are all put up is you could tell because there's 8 songs to a side. These are going to be like extremely low fidelity because you packed so many songs onto a side of a record. This record probably I didn't bother to do the math. I'm sure this record runs to at least 50 minutes. Both sides together, and that's really, really stretching the limits of a vinyl record.
it's a lot of time. Yeah.
So the sound would be very thin on this, and you wouldn't be able to play it multiple times in a row. I mean, any good vinyl haver, you guys both have vinyl, I have vinyl, we all know, is that you play it once and you let it rest for 24 hours before you play it again. It's like the optimum performance for vinyl. But yeah, it's like all in all, 16 songs of Jimmy Buffett's on one vinyl, 5 songs from Living and Dying, 5 songs from A1A, and 6 out of 10 songs on Havana Daydreaming are on this album. It is really weird that there's 0 songs from White Sport Goat and a Pink Crustacean.
I think like it's weird that there's no songs from White Sport Goat and Pink Crustacean. It's almost equally weird to me that there's no songs from we talked about the fact that like probably they issued this alongside Changes in Latitudes because that album did so well in America. They're probably trying to break it. The Australian market, but
one song representing the B side of A1A, and that's
oh my
Cup
god,
Chalice.
right. That's crazy.
Granted,
The B side of A1A is so much better than the A side.
It's a great representative if you can have one representative, but yes,
It didn't even occur to me. It's the only representative of the B side of A1A, which is like the better side of A1A.
So Matt, if you're not aware of the album A1A, essentially the A side is 2 crap Jimmy Buffett originals and 3 covers. I think all 3 of those covers are here.
Yeah, and then every song on the A side is like
written by Jimmy Buffett, and also all of them are entirely better than everything on side A.
Yeah, the B side is all like, so A1A, the way that works is that like it's Jimmy's first attempt at like I want to do like a full beach record, and his producer was like, "Fuck you, that's not happening." And so like he was just like they eventually compromised that the A side was going to be mostly normal and the B side was going to be like like a beach record. And because that's where his heart was, the B side of that album is infinitely better.
Yeah. So A Pirate
And
Looks a
also
40 starts off the B-side, and Tin Cup Chalice ends the B-side. In between, I mean, Tom is stronger on the B-side of this as possible, because the only other song I really like out of those, other than the two I just mentioned, is Trying to Reason with the Hurricane Season. I think you're higher on Nautical Wheelers and Migration than I am.
I thought you liked Migration, all right.
Migration was okay. I think it's a little bit overblown because that's a song where he's always talking about like his Caribbean soul and a tinge of Texas.
Yeah. Migration's fine. But I am definitely higher on Nautical Wheelers than you are.
The part I liked about Migration is, for some reason, Jimmy Buffett's like, why the fuck are all of these retirees coming to Florida? Hang on, why the fuck am I in Florida?
So this is a little. I've been doing research on various things in Rolling Stone, as I've said, and I have something here from I think this is from a '79 issue, so it's a couple of albums ahead, right? This is after Son of a Sailor and after Volcano come out. But there's a piece about Jimmy Buffett in this issue, which I think is July of '79. Don't quote me on it. I just have there's a letters section at the start of Rolling Stone where people like send in letters about various articles written in.
Okay.
And there's a whole section at the start of this one about a piece written about Jimmy Buffett.
Oh boy.
And here's two letters that I really liked from it. The first one says, this is after he moves to Colorado, after he moves to Aspen. It says, we here in Key West have been wondering how Jimmy has been doing since he grew tired of the growing commercialism in Key West, preferring instead the pristine province of Aspen. How dare you print that horse shit? In case the greenies have foamed up his memory, I might remind Jimmy that it was his big mouth that popularized our island and made it a haven for every imbecile with a knapsack on the East Coast. Jennifer Wilson, West Florida. And then there's a second one here that says, take Chet Flippo out and shoot him for his trash on Jimmy Buffett.
I'm assuming Chet Flippo is the guy who wrote the original
Chet Flippo wrote it was a piece about the recording of Volcano that was written. He interviewed Jimmy like not on Montserrat, but on like a different island in the Caribbean that was near Montserrat.
Okay.
They like took a break and like did this interview. It's a whole thing.
Did you happen to find anything in regards to? I know it's not an album represented here, but we should talk about it because it should be represented here. We could talk about what would represent it best. Did you find anything on White Sport Coat?
Yeah. So, listeners, as you all know, I've been increasingly interested in sort of contemporaneous journalistic coverage for Jimmy, and what I've found is that like not really like White Sport Coat is like the album that gives Jimmy a music career, but I did not find in the, there's a couple of I've been doing a lot of my research at Seattle Public Library based on what they have in their records, right? And that's missing a lot of things. Like I know that there were, I've checked Music Index. There were articles written about that album, I think, in Billboard. I don't have access to Billboard right now, right? I have access to like Rolling Stone and Stereo Review from 1975 on. Or like, I don't remember exactly. There's a gap, but I have a article about living and dying in 3/4 time from Stereo Review. I have a review of A1A, and I have an article that was written in between A1A and Havana Daydream, in which is a lot of this stuff is just about Jimmy's violent encounter with Buford Pusser. So Matt, if you don't, Buford Pusser was a legendarily
authoritarian cop sheriff.
I was gonna say fascistic. Like
that's also like fair to say, frankly.
Legendarily like violent Tennessee sheriff whose life story inspired the Walking Tall films. And Jimmy at one point had a I think at this point he's talked about it enough that it has to have actually happened, otherwise someone would have said that's bullshit. Like Jimmy had a violent encounter with the sheriff at one point where he stood on top of his car and the sheriff beat the shit out of him. Tore out some of his hair. So that's a whole thing. But no, I did not find anything about White Sport Coat. It seems like, generally speaking, the thing about Jimmy is that like White Sport Coat is the album that gives him a career, but it's not really the album in which he becomes a public figure, actually, right? Like I think that like because White Sport Coat has a lot of songs that become sort of, it has like Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw on it, right? Like there's like some old Jimmy Buffett classics on there, quote unquote, that like retrospectively more importance is placed on it than it seems like people had for it in the time period. It seems like people didn't care about it that much.
The big ones are ones we would expect all to be 8, 9s, and 10s on the Margarita scale, but after some of the leaps that were thrown, I mean, he went to Paris, grapefruit, juicy fruit. Why don't we get drunk?
Yeah.
I assume most of them are well played in Margaritaville.
I wouldn't be shocked if Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw is not played that often in Margaritaville.
Probably not.
But,
I would assume grapefruit, juicy fruit.
But there's a song called Too Drunk to Karaoke that gets played pretty often.
I don't know that song yet.
Well,
I will, but I don't know it yet.
Yeah, it's with
that is
Jimmy
a
Buffett
Jimmy Buffett and
country
Toby
singer.
Keith. That is from Songs from Saint Somewhere, so that is going to be towards the end of the year. Oh boy!
Every time we talk about like the end of the year, I remember that we're gonna be doing this stupid we're gonna be recording this fucking thing. I
kind of regret having Matt on the podcast now, and it's nothing against you, Matt, but I just don't like having to see all of these little sneak peeks into the suffer that we will endure.
It's important that we're already in this mode because like
I'd rather go into the suffering blind though.
Here's a sneak peek for you, Matt. We did not like changes in latitudes very much as an album. There was like maybe 2 songs on it that we were like pretty like decently high on. And
I would go to the Ends There for Tampico Trauma. That song is kick ass.
That song's great.
See that's how I don't even know.
Yeah,
there you go. Go listen to Tampico Trauma. It'll be right up there with Saxophones for you.
The point being that, like, as far as Prince journals are concerned, Jimmy does not really see much written about him until the first of these like big articles that are about Jimmy and about his life as a recording artist comes out after Living and Dying in 3/4 Time, and I think it's because that's the album that has Come Monday on it. This is the first album that has a hit where like he becomes like a figure in music, right? I think that like retrospectively, White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean is like more important. When people like us look at Jimmy retrospectively, we recognize that. People at the time did not know about Jimmy, right? Because his first album sold less than 400 copies. So
again, I mean, it makes sense only insofar as I said that like it's his first album on a major record label, but Living and Dying is really the point at which that they actually start promoting him, and that's partly because of Jim Croce's death, and then promoting him as a similar artist with a similar repertoire, which is I think is a terrible decision by that record executive.
Yeah, he's really not Jim Croce, but like the point being that like we're kind of in this interesting place where like Living and Dying in 3/4 Time and A1A to a lesser extent are really like they're less important from like a retrospective scenario because like Living and Dying in 3/4 Time does not have like a lot of like hits that stick around. A1A has Pirate Looks at 40, but like it doesn't really have like it's not like a big 8 album. And then Havana Daydreamin' is like just kind of ignored often of like retrospectives of Jimmy and his career. Living and Dying in 3/4 Time and A1A are like one of these interviews, I can't remember which one, like Jimmy thinks that A1A might be his biggest album, right? It obviously that comes out before Changes in Latitudes goes nuclear, but like that's his guess for what his biggest album is, and it's because like it's not gonna be White Sport Coat, it's not gonna be like a Havana Daydream, and it's gonna be one of these other ones that are like a little bit smaller, a little bit less like sensational, that like we don't think about necessarily now, but at the time were important for making Jimmy like a figure in music.
Yeah, and I would figure the reason he would think that about A1A is partly because there's an entire side where Jimmy gets to do what Jimmy wants to do that Jimmy doesn't get to do for like 3 more years. Because really, that's like the idea that permeates side B of that album is what translates into the entirety of Changes in Latitude, Changes in Attitude. I think we could both agree that he did it better on A1A.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I want to talk a little bit about some of these articles. There's a couple of lines that I want to pick out specifically. So first of all, I have this is a September 1974 issue of Stereo Review, really quick, where he says something interesting. Jimmy says, quote, "It's kind of weird now with Come Monday making the charts. Even Middle America was playing the hell out of that, but that's okay. I just don't want to get into doing this 300 days a year. I got too spoiled before it started. If I get too tired, that's a good enough excuse to go home, lie on the beach, ride my bicycle. I spent 2 years in Nashville working for Billboard and bumming around. Couldn't get anything recorded. Got depressed, got pissed off, got divorced, and left. Best move I've ever made. I do get into some incredible situations on the road that lead to songs, but my free time means as much to me as as far as writing is concerned. Wrote practically all of that second album while I was lying around in Montana. So in that, he's referring to living and dying in 3/4 time.
Right.
Because like listeners, in between the last episode and this one, I acquired a physical like vintage version of Havana Daydreamin', in which Jimmy refers to it as his fourth album, which means it's pretty clear that he doesn't really think about the two Barnaby records,
yeah,
Down to Earth and High Cumberland Jubilee, as like being like he kind of thinks of himself as having, I think, two music careers, one of which didn't really happen and one of which did, and that one starts with White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean.
Yeah, which makes it all the more, I mean, not really, obviously, because it's not Jimmy compiling this album. It's ABC, and really the international part of ABC that's compiling this album. But it does make it that much weirder that, like, if it's the beginning of Jimmy Buffett's career, and according to any, according to Jimmy himself and any major label, it's weird that White Sport Coat is not even mentioned, not even represented.
Yeah, so there's an interesting thing about in this other interview I found with Jimmy. But first of all, the other thing that I want to bring up is I found finally a contemporaneous review for A1A. This was written by Stephen Holden for Rolling Stone, and he's generally pretty positive on it. All of the highlights, it should be noted, are on the B side, unshockingly. The narrative songs Migration and Trying to Reason with Hurricane Season detail more vividly the squalor and enervating languor of life between Miami Beach and Key West. Don Gantt's solid Nashville production features the guitars of Steve Goodman, Reggie Young, Roger Bartlett, and Doyle Grisham's tasty pedal steel. A1A is likable, intelligent, and unpretentious.
You like that nod to Doyle Grisham.
Obviously, I like the nod to Doyle Grisham. I think that it's criminal that he doesn't officially join the Coral Reefers until like 2003. And the last thing I guess I want to bring up is from this interesting thing from this Rolling Stone article from July 17th, 1975 by Judith Sims. And this is going to be a little sinister for you, Kyle. Matt, I hope you're going to have no fucking idea what we're talking about here. This article starts with the paragraph, Jimmy Buffett is a pretty good country rock folk singer-songwriter, but what sets him apart from others is a sense of humor. Not jokes, mind you, but kamikaze drunken broadsides usually aimed at himself, and wonderfully funny songs about TV game shows. Door number 3.
Oh, no.
15-year-old groupies. Please take your children.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I've taken my glasses off. My head is in my hands. Oh,
so
Christ.
Havana Daydreamin', Matt, had a song that was cut from it and seemingly never recorded and published again called Please Take Your Drunken 15-Year-Old Girlfriend Home. Now, this is, for my money, the absolute worst thing that Jimmy ever recorded. I think it's terrible. This being in a Rolling Stone article terrifies me because it signifies that like this song was more widely known than we understand it to be.
I'll tell you what the Buffett fans, what the Parrot Heads have to say about this. On the Buffett News Forum on June 5th, 2000, Head Parrot Head wrote this as part of his review of Havana Daydreamin'. This guy goes on to say that like it's a travesty that those songs were cut, and he says specifically about this song, if Please Take Your Drunken 15-Year-Old Girlfriend Train to Dixie had been put on this album, it would give it a really major boost. Girlfriend is another anthem that hops and bops like no other Buffett song. Like,
okay, here's my official opinion of that. That guy's a fucking idiot. Like,
you heard it here, Head Parrot Head.
I will fucking fight you. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That just sucks.
Little more context for you, Matt. I don't know if you listened to the very first episode of this podcast all the way through. In the first 5 minutes,
dude, I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember what this podcast is called.
I guess we win the Ain't He a Genius Award this week. That's fine. That's fine. I
told Pirate Heads to come kill me if they disagreed with me.
Yeah. At the end of the episode,
the one thing I know about the show is that Tom did dox himself.
at the end of the episode,
I have identified the city I live in and told Parrot Heads to come kill me.
Oh, you gave more immediate instructions than that I had to cut out. At the end of the podcast, Tom reiterated it about something completely different. Tom, twice in the first episode, said Parrot Head should come kill him if they disagree with him. So we've really been antagonizing them.
Yeah, you've told me that ahead of time.
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying kicking the hornet's nest on this one.
Boy. All right. Continue with your contemporary reviews.
That's all I gotta say, really. Like the rest of this interview with Jimmy is like kind of interesting discussion about like, you know, there's some interesting stuff I learned about in the past week about Jimmy's imaginary coral reefers, which is like, you know, in the era before it was a real band, kind of where Roger Bartlett was the only real coral reefer, quote unquote, where it was like mostly Marvin Gardens, where Jimmy had a couple of other named fictional coral reefers that don't show up on albums, but they were called like, one of them was called like Miss Kitty or something, I think. I don't remember the other names. I didn't print out that particular article, but Jimmy recognizes that like he had fictional coral reefers, which is like, I guess, important because it makes the part on the K-San recording where he goes, "Where's Marvin?" less insane.
No, it's still insane. It's still insane.
It's so crazy.
The entire transfiguration is very much insane.
It's still crazy. But the important thing is like, I think it's important to understand that like as like a retrospective podcast inherently, we don't really understand. And also because like chart information prior to like one of the reasons that in 1993 Nirvana quote unquote kills everybody's music careers is because sometime around 1993 people start to understand that charts are not measuring what's popular accurately.
Yeah, I mean charts are bullshit.
Charts are bullshit, but they sort of reconfigure charts and they become a little bit more accurate in the early 1990s as to what people are actually listening to.
I mean, but see, here's the thing, is that becomes a problem because, especially in the US at that time, because in the 1990s is also when Cashbox dissolved, and Cashbox is really the only competitor to Billboard as a music magazine that is doing weekly charts for US popular music. And there is a hegemony of the Billboard that has been built up. I mean, long before 1996, because Billboard was always way ahead of Cashbox. But there's just this hegemony of Billboard that has been built up, especially over the last 30 years when it's had a complete monopoly over the idea. We do get a sense, the idea of like, well, it's not going to be popular unless it hits on the Billboard. And that is sort of, you know, one of the bright sides of the internet and having access to music through YouTube or TikTok or whatever the fuck, where you find that people are actually enjoying, like, music goes quote unquote viral that is not, you know, on the Billboard necessarily.
But like my point is that like retrospectively we don't really understand what was popular necessarily. We don't really understand what people were talking about in regards to Jimmy's music at the time. We understand that like Come Monday was his first hit. We understand that Margaritaville was a massive hit that is going to completely change Jimmy's career forever. But like we don't really understand that like apparently people knew about Please Take Your Drunken Girlfriend Home. Like that's like the fact that was like a known aspect of Jimmy's music is it hasn't like shaken me, but it has sort of made me realize that like Jimmy has never felt more alien to me than he does right now. Like it's very strange to me. The past is a foreign country, et cetera, et cetera.
Should we get into the fun part here where we actually talk about what songs we think like we would cut and what songs we would put on the compilation?
For this?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, we can do that.
I mean, White Sport Coat has no representation whatsoever.
White Sport Coat needs to have a representation on this. I would probably put Mile High in Denver on this and Death Valley Lives.
Oh, so in between, in terms of like the first two albums, I did come up. I said, yeah, Down to Earth. I mean, Captain the Kid is already represented in a fashion that I presume Jimmy is more comfortable with because he's the one who decided to release it a second time.
Yeah.
But A Mile High in Denver off of Down to Earth. Definitely. You know, if I add a second song, it would probably be between the Christian and the Missionary. High Cumberland Jubilee For 2, I picked Ace and Death Valley Lives. But then I also thought...
Those would probably be my 2 picks as well.
Yeah, but then I thought, like, as I've been saying, Bend a Little would be more indicative of Jimmy's style. So if you're trying to promote him and you had to choose a song from that second album, I would probably choose Bend a Little over, like, one of those. I'm not entirely certain which one.
Here's the problem, is that Bend a Little's not a very good song.
I know it's not a very good song, but it is indicative of Jimmy's style.
It is. This album desperately would need some of White Sport Coat on it.
Yes, and I figure, I mean, the Great Filling Station Hold Up I really like. I don't know if it fits as a Jimmy Buffett song. Yeah. I figure He Went to Paris and Grapefruit Juicy Fruit are no-brainers, frankly, if you're representing the album.
Probably so.
And then I would say personally, the other 3, Great Filling Station Hold Up, They Don't Dance Like Carmen No More, and I Have Found Me a Home. It seems criminal not to put Death of an Unpopular Poet on there, but
that's still my highlight on the album. But also, like, I feel like this album just improves drastically if you just replace I think anytime that we see Pencil Thin Mustache, I just want to imagine what the album's like if you replace it with They Don't Dance Like Carmen No More.
A million times better. Matt, have you ever heard the song They Don't Dance Like Carmen No More? They play that in the Margaritaville?
The title itself doesn't sound familiar.
Okay.
It's another Jimmy Buffett thing. It is sort of over the weeks we've been recording this podcast metastasized into Kyle's favorite Jimmy Buffett song. Yeah,
and now it's rivaled by Tampico Trauma, but I mean,
Tampico Trauma was great.
Yeah. Actually, so the song that leads into it is Cuban Crime of Passion. How often do you hear that in Margaritaville?
Oh, that one comes on quite often.
Oh shit! Okay.
What? Cuban Crime of Passion? Yeah, I am very familiar with Cuban Crime of Passion.
What would you give it on the Margarita scale?
Probably an 8. I think it feels good.
8, right there with the wino and I know. Jesus, wow.
Right with wino and I know.
Okay.
That's so much.
I'm gonna write this down.
Oh my god.
Cuban Crime of Passion is an 8. I do feel like Matt's gonna have to Matt, would you mind too terribly if we just had you on as a repeat guest for all of the compilation albums, so we can get your feeling?
We can't do that.
I promise you do not have to listen to all the songs.
A repeat guest. You know what?
I do just kind of want to get a full sense of the Margarita scale, though.
We can't do this to him. It's torturous. That's not.
You know what? My employers might find this and fire me. I don't know, but sure.
I mean, if not, then in serious, I don't think being here would actually seriously jeopardize my job.
I don't think so. But we can't keep torturing him like this.
Well, at the very least, I would contact Matt and give him the track list and ask him if he could score the songs that we haven't scored yet. Because it's like I don't need Matt to score a 10 for Pencil Thin Mustache every fucking time, but because it's gonna be on every damn compilation. But all right, I mean, okay, let's move on here though. Okay, so Living and Dying, right? Yes. The big omission here is God's Own Drunk. I mean,
yeah, God's Own Drunk could be on
this. That's the concert staple before Margaritaville. It's considered his staple song, his signature song. Yeah, Legal issues don't even occur with this song until 1983.
It really is otherwise I feel like Living and Dying in 3/4 time is honestly not terribly represented. You could cut a lot of the stuff from that, but it means God's Own Drunk.
You and I were fans of West Nashville Grand Ballroom Gown, but it's not really representative of his discography. I mean, I would swap probably both Making Music for Money and Dallas for that, because I think that adds up to about 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Get that shit out of here.
We do have to remember, I mean, there are other omissions from the next album we'll talk about. A big one, definitely. But, I mean, the other thing you have to think about is, like I said, this is a jam-packed record, and to fit it all on one vinyl, to add a 6-minute song like God's Own Drunk, it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
I think we can, I think as we're talking about this, we can throw the logistics out the window and just talk about what we think would be more represented. Because I think we could come up with a 50-minute album that is better than this, just cutting out the songs we don't think are worth it, right? You know? I do find it interesting that Livingston's Gone to Texas is not represented, but Captain the Kid is. Obviously, this is because like Jimmy is not in charge of choosing what goes on this record. It's the record company doing that. Because I feel like
Presumably, if
Jimmy
Jimmy
would want
was-
to.
Yeah, Jimmy loves Livingston's Gone to Texas.
How often does
Yeah.
God's Own Drunk come on in the Margaritaville?
There's no way.
God's Own Drunk.
Yeah.
There's no way God's Own Drunk comes on in the Margaritaville.
There is no way it does.
I really wish. What about Livingston's Gone to Texas?
I don't recognize the title.
Right. Okay.
A1A is like weirdly not very well represented on this album.
A1A
Like,
is insane. So first of all, I mean, like the big one is A Pirate Looks at 40, which by the way, Margarita scale, how often you hear it?
That's I also don't recognize the title.
Really?
Sorry? Pirate Looks at 40? It's one of the big eight, isn't it?
Yeah, the Mother,
Pirate Looks at
Mother
40.
Ocean, I have heard you call.
Okay. I know the lyrics. That's gonna be like a I'll put that as another 10.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I get that.
10,
It,
9, 10. Here, how about 9.5?
9.5?
I'll take
Okay.
that.
9.5.
No, I was just shocked by the notion that you don't hear it ever. Like I was just like, no, there's no way. This is one of the big eight.
Yeah, no, I hear all the time. I just never knew what the song was called.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I honestly think it is a noble and based of you to not know what the music is called.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, yeah. So A1A, I mean, I would just straight up drop Stories We Could Tell, Dallas, and Making Music for Money. Like, I mean, there's no reason to have 3 covers from the A side.
There really isn't.
Like, Trying to Reason with Hurricane Season should be on here, frankly.
Trying to Reason with Hurricane Season should be on here.
But
Migration probably shouldn't be. Pirate Looks at 40 needs to be.
I did note that I do think it is indicative of how poor of a song Presents to Send You is, that they rather chose Stories We Could Tell, which is essentially the same song, but somebody else that wasn't Jimmy wrote it.
I forgot about Presents to Send You already.
Ain't he a Genius
Damn.
Award? The A-Hag.
It did. I think it did get the A-Hag.
I think I mean we've forgotten about a whole other album that isn't even represented. What about the Rancho Deluxe soundtrack?
Fuck Rancho Deluxe. Man,
Some
fuck Rancho
gothic
Deluxe.
ranch
Deluxe.
action right here.
Some Gothic Ranch Action is great. I don't think you can honestly put a soundtrack song onto a best of compilation.
Well, maybe not this soundtrack. You definitely could on some soundtracks if there were fully
definitely
formed songs. That's just a kick-ass instrumental. I would assume it's a 0 on the Margarita scale because I would assume.
There's no way
I would
any song
assume
from the Rancho Deluxe soundtrack is played in the Margarita.
Not that. I would assume the Son of a Sailor version of Livingston Saturday Night might be.
Son of a Sailor?
No, well, not the song Son of a
That
Sailor,
song.
but the song Livingston Saturday Night, which is from that album, was originally done for the Rancho Deluxe soundtrack.
Wait, that actually sounds familiar.
Of course.
Also, Son of a Sailor?
Son of a Sailor is the title track off of Jimmy's 8th album, Son of a Sailor.
I would assume that's played a lot.
That is definitely played a lot.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Wow.
haven't gotten to that one
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
Not for the listeners. They get a week off. We'll be off next week for you guys.
that's true. For Havana Daydreamin', I feel like Havana Daydreamin' is honestly pretty well represented.
Yeah.
I feel like you most like maybe take off Defying Gravity just for space for other albums.
That
think
or
of it-
replace it with Kick It In Second Wind.
Yeah.
Kind of Daydreaming seems to be the most represented on the album.
Yeah, like I
Which
said,
is really-
it's 5, 5,
because,
and
like-
6 out of the 3 albums.
Because like Havana Daydreamin' is like, you know, considered like Jimmy's kind of it's like of his Key West phase, it's probably the least like lauded.
yeah,
of his
again, it's
albums,
like the forgotten album almost.
which is kind of wild because I do think it might just be the best one of that era.
it's definitely the most
But-
consistent.
Very easily
because
so.
I
It's because they
find
cut all
that
the songs that
yes, because I find that the lows on, and the only reason I figure it is because the lows on Havana Daydreaming are not as forgettable as the lows on White Sport Coat.
Yeah, I agree. Head Parrot Head. I think you're an idiot. Come fight me. I think you're insane.
He's got reviews for the other albums as well that we covered here. You want me to hear some things?
Yeah,
So Head Parrot Head on White Sport Coat. If there was ever a breakthrough album to define an artist's refusal to go quietly, this is it, which I think is kind of strange considering the idea that, like, in Jimmy Buffett's own view, this is his first album. So I don't think like it shows a refusal to go quietly. If you close your eyes, Cuban Crime of Passion will take you back to the glory days of that forbidden island 90 miles beyond the southernmost point.
I don't want to stop listening to I'm gonna lose it. Like
All right, well, here's one to really make you angry. Right at the end of this, the ballads each touch you in their own special way, but there's that one song that started the one that started all the controversy, that when performed live has been sliced, diced, hashed and rehashed more than any other. Why Don't We Get Drunk has always been the perfect song for that special someone in your life, and became an early anthem for what would eventually become a Buffett fan. And by the way, fan is spelled P-H-A-N because they're parrot heads.
Listeners, I want to be clear.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have one more thing to say before you threaten Head Parrot Ahead again. He scores he scores the albums out of 5 Coronas, and he said this was a perfect score of 5 Coronas.
Listeners, on our official episode about the James Buffett album, White Sport Coat and a Pink Crustacean, I said that I didn't hate Why Don't We Get Drunk and Screw, that I thought on a good day it hits me really well. Like when it hits me well, I think the song's fine. And that I thought that as this podcast progressed, I would sour on it. I heard that song like 3 days ago. I'm already soured on it. I haven't even heard it live yet. I'm gonna go fucking insane, guys.
Oh boy.
Like I really am. Like, I'm already kind of sick of that thing, and I have not had to listen to any live recordings of it.
See, here's another example. I'll give another example as to why the Parrot Heads kind of have a skewed view of Jimmy here, right? So Parrot Head fan Jim Bob Bubbin reviewed White Sport Coat, saying, not a perfect Jimmy Buffett album, a bit heavy on the country sound, but still a rather nice run. Now, I think you and I would agree that it being heavy on the country sound is what makes it actually a good album. But he started off with saying, the Great Filling Station Hold Up, Peanut Butter Conspiracy, and Why Don't We Get Drunk all have a thick country sound to them, but are also humorous and lighthearted, which makes them so enjoyable. Now, I don't know if you remembered, but you and I both took issue with the idea that anyone could consider Armed Robbery as lighthearted in the Great Filling Station Hold Up.
Yeah, I don't think it's lighthearted. Peanut Butter Conspiracy definitely is lighthearted.
Yeah.
Great Filling Station Hold Up's not quite lighthearted. I think that's Jimmy colored glasses, right? You know, that's like the oh, you rascal.
Okay, so Head Parrot Head's review of Living and Dying at 3/4 Time. The world was still trying to recover from White Sport Coat when this album was released. It was not. It was not. It didn't make much of a splash.
It was not. It wasn't that big.
Jimmy was making his mark with songs like Pencil Thin Mustache and the sentimental Come Monday, but there's more to 3/4 Time than those two great songs. There's Ringling Ringling, a fantastic country and western ditty about a small Montana town about 50 miles north of Livingston. Now, we both said we did like Ringling Ringling. We did like Ringling Ringling. Brahma Fear, brand new country star, and the Wino and Iono are great country and western songs that bring out the cowboy or cowgirl in everyone.
Oh, you know, Brahma 1 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
Yeah, just say Brahma Fear. Like, wasn't that
Brahma
our AHAG award that week?
I don't think it was the AHAG award purely because as I recall, Brahma, it might have been the AHAG award. The thing I remember about Brahma Fear was that it was a song about being scared of doing things that were risky that was extremely boring.
Yeah. Anyway, score 5 Coronas out of 5. And then here we are at A1A. If anyone had any doubt that Jimmy Buffett was here to stay, then the release of A1A tied those feelings to an anchor and tossed it overboard. A1A is power-packed from start to finish. Every song stands alone as a classic. With that in mind, many have asked, why does Jimmy not play more of these excellent songs at his shows?
Every song on A1A?
Door number 3 is a great comical romp about one of the craziest game shows to ever be put on television. Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal like the outfit's okay, but like it's a pretty tame show. I mean, it was on broadcast in the 1960s, guy. Like,
there's
I feel
nothing particularly crazy about
Hey, can I just sort of fire a stray at like another extremely scary fan base really quick?
Sure.
I feel like this is how people write about Taylor Swift when she writes something bad. like I feel like all the time I see people be like, "Oh my god, her mind, she's so genius."
I got a list of 4 songs here, and half of them are going to drive you fucking insane, given the 2 that they're paired with in this sentence. Tin Cup Chalice, presents to send you, stories we could tell, and trying to reason with hurricane season will sway you out over the gulf on the wings of goals. Migration grabs onto you where Cuban crime of passion dropped you. Nautical wheelers will make you a sailor for a day, even in the desert.
What the fuck is that?
So here's what he had to say about A Pirate Looks at 40. Pirate is without a doubt one of my favorite 5 Buffett songs due to the fact that an ancestor of mine was a pirate in the Baltic and North Seas long before piracy was even quote-unquote in style, and 90 plus years before a man named Columbus supposedly discovered America. And then he gives a little story about his supposed pirate ancestor. And here's the fucking story, folks. Prepare yourselves, okay? Nicholas von Baden was beheaded on June 9th, 1402 for the crime of piracy on many, many counts. And the executioner, keeping his word, stood the headless body of Nicholas in front of his men, who stood single file as their decapitated captain managed to walk past 3 of them, setting them free before tripping over a log thrown down by the executioner. And that just seems like it entirely, I mean, first of all, it's a complete non sequitur to the review.
Wait, he said they're decapitated captain.
Yeah, but also like the idea
the
that the decapitated captain walked in front of his crew is just completely just bad.
Sorry to break you, but humans aren't like chickens.
Yeah, no, sorry, it's like, sorry, head parrot head, your ancestor was dead immediately. He died like a bitch.
Yeah, and also, isn't it more common for the sculpture to display the decapitated head rather than the body?
There's so many things weird. Anyway, the score for A1A, 6 Coronas out of a possible 5.
Okay, what?
So, would you like to hear his review of the Rancho Deluxe soundtrack?
I think I'm good for now.
Yeah, well, I mean...
All right, let's do it. Fuck it. Let's just keep going.
Oh, boy. A restless daydream, thoughts of jail, dust clouds rising, tearing down the trail. Got our plans made to make a few bucks and buy a spread called Rancho Deluxe. That's how the disc starts, and if you have never been out west in Montana, this album will take you there. Visions of cattle roping and horseback riding will fill your head, and you'll be reminded of Tully Mars and Take Another Road as you listen to the music. There are 6 instrumentals on this disc, and they are excellent to drive to. He is 5/6 incorrect about that. Left Me with a Nail to Drive and Counting the Cows Every Day are both funny songs about infidelity and life on the prairie. Jesus, I mean... The idea that anyone gives this, and by the way, the score for this is 5 out of 5 Coronas.
Does he ever give any album less than 5 out of 5 Coronas?
Yes. Do you want to take a guess as to which one it was?
Is it Havana Daydreamin'?
It was Havana Daydreamin'. This album was originally... Oh, yeah. So I talked a lot about this. Yeah. So Havana Daydreamin', 4 of 5 Coronas. By the way, the score for Please Take Your Drunken 15-Year-Old Girlfriend Home and Train to Dixie, which he scored separately, 5 Coronas each.
Okay, and the full title of the song, if I'm remembering correctly, was Take Your Drunken 15-Year-Old Girlfriend Home.
Yes.
Yep. That's what the refrain is.
Matt, you do not have to listen to that song.
You don't do it to yourself.
I don't want to.
You shouldn't.
I'm scared.
As it turns out, Jimmy Buffett is very scary. His career, man, it's not good.
Like, okay, like, did he have any connections with you know who?
Al Capone?
Matt, no.
Oh,
he's talking about.
Oh God!
The last more topical.
Do we have a story for you,
Matt? here's the thing. On the day that we started recording this podcast, at the end of last year, they were releasing a lot of photos relating to this.
I'm guessing that there was a photo with.
There was a photo, and there was a.
On the day that we started recording this podcast,
on the day we started
I woke up, looked at the news, and what I saw on the front page,
a blonde stranger,
was a picture of Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Jimmy Buffett and his wife. To be fair, no allegations have come forward about Jimmy Buffett, and as we've said on this podcast before, this podcast is not necessarily pro Buffett. And if we had thought that was going to be disqualifying, then we wouldn't have done the podcast.
No, we would have thrown the brakes then and there. If we really thought that was like a thing, there's not any sort of allegation against him at all, except for being kind of sometimes bad at songwriting. I think this is just like. His oddball sense of humor, and by that I mean fucking bullshit. Like I think it's just a song that he thought was a funny joke and just was a really bad joke.
Is there anything else to discuss about the compilation album here?
We started this podcast because we were curious about the eras of Jimmy, and I think that we can clearly identify leading up to this 2 of them. Right, we have the sort of early Barnaby Records days, and then the Key West phase, which I would actually, personally, I would probably identify the Key West phase as ending right before Changes in Latitudes, because I feel like Changes in Latitudes is a sea change for Jimmy.
See, I think of Changes in Latitudes as being the watershed moment, in that, like, it could very flexibly be considered the end of the era. It could also be considered the breaking point and the start of a new era. I like to think of it as the end of the era only because it changes his direction so much, and like he didn't know it was going to do that, I think, going into that. But you can also see the very clear from A1A on that he very clearly wanted to do a concept album that ends up being Changes in Latitude.
Yeah, and like also, Changes in Latitudes is different, right? It doesn't feel like at first like it's that different, but then it's like, no, there's something going on there, right? Like it's the first like real like full like nautical album. No longer is he working with producer Don Gant, who he's been working with since White Sport Coat. Things have changed between Havana Daydream and Changes in Latitudes, and like ultimately like this album, The Very Best of Jimmy Buffett, it's not a terrible representation of like the music from like those 3 middle albums in the Key West phase. I don't think it's the best way to. It's certainly not the very best of Jimmy Buffett.
I mean, what it is indicative, representative of a completely different side to Jimmy Buffett. I don't think we're ever going to see again. Matt, I think you can speak to that, being someone who listens to Jimmy Buffett's legacy far more often than you would ever want to. And we could see that just with like how many songs you said you never hear.
Yeah, it's
what we play Margaritaville is really the small snippet of his career.
Yeah, well, things are good. Things are changing for Jimmy. Things are going in a very different direction.
And that means things are going in a very different direction for us. Unfortunately, or fortunately. No, we are off next week. We will be back with Son of a Sailor in 2 weeks' time on March 13th. But for now, I've been Kyle.
I'm Tom, and this is our special guest, Matt.
Thank you very much, Matt, for showing up.
Thanks for the invite.
I hope we didn't make you suffer too much.
That was an interesting word.
Yeah, interesting is the word to describe the experience. Well, that's it. Jimmy, play us out.
Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. Wasting away again, away again. And Margaritaville. It's my own damn fault.